Hello, I'm Sora Luxon, and this is Lesson 10, Rituals and Tools to Find Center and Raise Energy. Now that you've made it this far, happily doing your mind control and quietude and fourfold breath magical practices every day, and feeling the changes it's already creating in your life for the better, if you've been doing them with focused mindfulness, all those techniques that I've already gone over, that's the occult training you've already been doing, right? See, I told you there's a lot of discipline required for real magic. Look at how many wonderful practices you're already doing. So you're ready to get started now on finding center and grounding to purify and raise energy into yourself, because that's important. If you want to use magical energy for things, you have to be able to access it. Some Wiccan covens use, actually a lot, this one's fairly popular. They use the practice of the divine white light, setting themselves quietly aside in nature or seated in an outdoor or indoor sacred space, before an altar maybe. They cast a circle involving the opening of the quarters, compass directions, north, south, east, west, right? With their corresponding element forces, earth, air, water, fire, with spirit being the hidden fifth acknowledged in the practitioner. They call on their own divine power, the power and assistance of guides, perhaps. If they're pagan, the power of nature or the earth mother goddess is usually relied upon as well. Almost always some form of the triple goddess is going to be worked with here. And they pull that light, that energy source into themselves with a meditative technique, thereby consecrating, sanctifying themselves while acknowledging and respecting the source of power that they're drawing from. With most witches and warlocks, this really is mostly nature or element based. Once the power is drawn on, it can then be set up and used, but it usually comes from nature first. That's how I've seen it work. Other techniques that work include candle magic, where the practitioner can use the lighting of a single candle. Someone from a very heavy druidic or monastic background, usually after years of training and experience, is actually employing this technique, unbeknownst to the casual viewer. And they can do it to gain immediate access to all manner of power sources available to them. Like every form of grounding and energetic raising, though, it does require the casting of a circle. Even if you can't see it, even if there's not a circle of salt, chalk, candles around someone doing this, they're doing it mentally. A high-level adept can cast a circle mentally, and that's how they're incorporating that, even if you can't see it. Lighting candles to all manners of angels, spirits, lesser gods. I've seen leprechauns on a money candle that's green in Target, I think. That's also a common practice of raising power. It's something dabblers in magic tend to do, and it usually produces no or weak or uncontrolled results, because no circle or focus, no experience is being applied to the magics, and therefore there's little to no control of it. No control to the power being called upon, if any power is managed to be called upon in the first place. The exception I've seen to this resides in voodoo or hoodoo rites, where candle altars without a circle are used to great effect by their experts. But those practitioners of their craft, those experts who are constantly and consistently giving real awareness and mindfulness to that form of occultism in candle magic and its corresponding powers, they know what they're doing. So just because you don't see a circle and they're not using a circle around their candle magic or their altar, don't assume that it's casual or more common or easier or something that's more of a toy and less of a tool to be played with. Someone who works with voodoo will warn you that a deity like Papa Legba is not going to like it if you forget his offering for the week. So voodoo and hoodoo aren't things you should mindlessly play around with, even if it seems like some of the focal point power raising looks from the outside messier. Bigger energetic rites for specific effects do require a circle being cast in voodoo, although usually it's cast in one of the most powerful ways possible, with a ring of dancing magical practitioners functioning cooperatively. So sometimes you can't always see the circle that's being cast in an overt way, right? Many Eastern traditions offer wonderful practices for grounding and centering while raising and balancing energy with the self-technique to use of chakras. And I personally suggest you begin some form of this immediately, or some form of something from a yogic traditional background if you haven't already. Getting a good grasp of your chakras and working with them to provide you nice, full, harmonized energy centers, Magick 101. So do that or consider doing it. No matter what magical background you're hailing from. Yes, I know Satanists and Luciferians that use chakras in their magical workings. It can only make your magic stronger. The way having your own sacred space or temple can only make your magic stronger. Is it strictly necessary? No, but it works a lot better. And balancing your chakras is going to be a necessity in higher hermetic occult magics if you want to learn those. So, and it doesn't matter whether you're using Eastern, Western, Egyptian, Hebrew words and symbols to do it, start doing it. The magic a hermetic or ritual magician or priest like myself uses also requires circle casting, and I'll do another lesson specifically on that. But there is a ritualistic tool a magician uses in occult magics which you can safely start to use immediately that doesn't absolutely demand a circle being cast, at least at first. It works a lot better if you do cast a circle and do a lesser banishing ritual of the pentagram. So I'll definitely explain all of those in the next lessons. But for now, you can do this and begin to work with grounding and raising your energy. Since hermetics is what my strongest magical background is in personally, that's what I'm going to suggest and describe here. The form I learned is based on Israel Regardie's teachings, and you can find it described online. There's a lot of demonstrations of it in YouTube videos from members of the Golden Dawn, Rosicrucians. There's a lot of people who use the middle pillar ritual. That's what it's called, the middle pillar. And it's used for daily magical hygiene and energetic sourcing. You can actually use this ritual adaptively to whatever background you need it to come from. I use the old Hebrew form, but that's not necessary. There are pagans who use middle pillar and source it mentally as their own personal divinity form. I've seen that work. So the ritual itself can be adapted by you however you need it to be in your own mind, as long as the light you're connecting to is acknowledged as the ultimate divine or great architect or universal God form. Whatever you're going to call it. See, the title changes, the meaning doesn't. The whole. You are drawing that into yourself. Biggest source of power is going to be the best for magical workings. That's what you're working with here. The biggest, purest, most powerful energy source. See why I like hermetic occultism the best? The other tools to create an internal center and raise power into yourself work great too, and you can research those if you like and use them. There's a really great book on learning hermetic style occult magic that I came across in my temple training very early on. It's really a sort of self-course in how to work with all occult magics. I think it's called Self-Transformation, a complete course by Thomas Christopher, I think the author's name is. I'll look it up and I'll put it in the descriptions, at least the author's name spelled correctly, so that you can find it if you want or need to. But that book really gets into vibrating the god names correctly and how the pronunciations are best done, and it's really clearly demonstrated. So I'll make sure to make a note of that and include that in the description. I think it also goes into the Kabbalistic cross and banishing rituals as well. So it's a good book to have if you're serious about training as an adept occultist. So this is how an occultist charges and cleans up the middle pillar, and it goes like this. You're going to start with the fourfold breath. Once you know how to cast a circle and do a banishing ritual, you can do those things first. But for now, just start with the fourfold breath. And standing is going to let you feel the vibrations most strongly when you start out and don't really know what you're doing yet. Especially if you've never done an incantation or any ritual magics before, standing will help. you want to visualize a globe of white light above your head, around what would be called your crown chakra. It's pretty big, like volleyball sized, and it's going to be traveling down the column of light that is you, from your head to your feet. This white light energy ball, this is what we want to have vibrate as, sorry, that was my puppy. She just walked into the room. That sphere of light at your head, that's what you want to have vibrate as you vibrate. You can actually physically feel these vibrations as you're chanting these God names, which I'm going to give you. So the first one, while the sphere of light is at your crown chakra, at your head, is A, Hey, Yay. 4 times is usually good enough. You just do it 4 times. I'm not actually going to chant it because I'm not doing magic right now. I'm not going to vibrate the God name for you. Don't hit the iPad with your nose. No. So, but that's what you're going to be vibrating. A, Hey, Yay. 4 times, which means I am in Hebrew. Then allow the light sphere to travel down to your throat. And now you're going to say, well, you're going to vibrate. You're going to chant to set up those vibrations in that light sphere. You're going to be vibrating Yo He Vahe Elohim. Again, that's Yo He Vahe Elohim. It's the God name of Doth in the Tree of Life. That's another lesson for another time. The Tree of Life. I'll get into that later. Some people say Jehovah here if they aren't using the tetragrammaton in their ritual practices. You can do that if you prefer. I use the tetragrammaton, so I use this form. Then the light, after you chanted this 4 times, is going to move down into your torso. And again, there's 2 or 3 different things that you could choose to chant here. There's different forms of the ritual. I use the one that requires the vowels I, A, O. And that is literally what you're going to be chanting 4 times. I, A, O. They're the initials of Isis, Apophis, and Osiris. And they work best for me in the torso to really get the energy moving to where I can physically feel it. Then that sphere of light is going to move down into the region of your groin, into the region of your genitals. This is the almighty living God. Shaddai El Chai. Again, that's Shaddai El Chai. And that's what you're going to chant 4 times. Then the sphere moves down to your feet. This is the Lord of Earth, Adonai Haaretz. And it's Malkut sphere within the tree, the kingdom. You're going to chant that 4 times. Adonai Haaretz. Now, you're establishing the pillar within you and strengthening it. That's what this sphere is doing as you're energetically drawing it down this column of light at your center. And now you're going to bring the energy quietly. You're silent now. You're going to bring that energy up from the bottom at your feet to your head on the right side of your body, and then release it down on the left side of your body from your head back to your feet. And you're going to do that 4 times, raising the energy up from your feet to your head and releasing it back down, up from the right and down on the left. Do that 4 times, and then do the same thing from your feet up the back behind you and release it down the front in front of you. Up from the back, from the sphere at your feet, up to that other sphere at your head, and then release that energy, that light, that beam, ray, however you want to visualize it, think of it, release it back down to your feet. You're going to do that 4 times. So you've now created these 2 circles of energetic power around you. Then you're going to raise it up from your feet to the top of the column, to your head, to that sphere, and release it straight down, back down that middle pillar. You're going to do that 4 times. And then last but not least, you're going to draw that energy, that light, that power, draw it into your center, right in the center, right at your core of that middle pillar, and then release it outwards in every direction, filling this sort of oval or globe that you've built around you now, right? Energetically, you're going to fill it with that light, and you're going to do that 4 times. See, there's not a lot of evil devil worship going on here. You understand now why trained magicians and witches and all sorts of occultists find that biased assumptions are pretty darn hysterical. along with being hypocritical, since it's usually a form of religion and not a form of magic that's teaching people to be afraid of some devilish thing or to fear things. In this ritual, you are working with divine white light, with divinity, with your own divinity, and with God names. And it's really going to help as a ritual and tool for you to find center and start raising your energetic powers.